Hey everybody, it's April Perry and Jonathan Bailor back with another episode of the SANE Show. And today we're talking about goal-specific exercise. I'm really excited. Jonathan, I wish that you lived in my neighborhood and could be my personal trainer, but this is the next best thing.
Absolutely. Well, you do have a lovely neighborhood, and I would rather live there rather than live in Seattle right now because it is literally pitch black outside. Although it is
Oh,
1:30 in the afternoon because it's like rainy, not fun times. But anyway, today's show is one that I'm actually very, very excited about because we touched on this briefly in the last show, which was this idea of toning your body. And there are people that look certain ways, and like, how are they exercising, and how should I exercise? And exercise can be as confusing, if not more confusing sometimes, than eating. And I want to just start the conversation about why exercise can be so confusing. And I think how we can simplify it by thinking about it in terms of our goals. Again, it's not sort of right or wrong or better or worse.
yeah.
It's what's your goal when it comes to exercise. So does that sound good?
This is awesome. And if you can help clarify this for me and for all of the people for whom I am representing right now, we will be forever grateful. Because when I think about what I have learned about exercise, I mean, just looking at what did I learn growing up? Well, I learned that my parents liked racquetball, and so they went and played racquetball. I learned that it was good to be walking and active and to move. So, okay, that was great. I had this special, it was advertised on commercials. It was called Get in Shape Girl when I was 9. And it came with a streamer that you just like spun around and did a streamer and wore cute leg warmers. And that was, I don't know, the whole point was to have fun with your streamer. I don't know what that was. And then there's what I learned through elementary school, middle school, high school, which is essentially you've got to run the mile. You need to be able to pass your presidential fitness test, which includes sit-ups. And in high school, it was like, what can I do to get out of PE? What can I do to replace this PE? So, I took dance, I took cheerleading, stuff like that. But as far as what is your goal for exercise and what do you want to become and how do you want to strengthen your body, no one ever even talked to me about this, ever. The question that was always asked was, how many calories are you eating, period. So this is just a whole new concept for me. I mean, I can talk a lot more, but let's go ahead.
The key thing when it comes to exercise is understanding that, much like you said, oh, it's just about calories. It's just this one size fits all. It's just about burning calories. And honestly, I mean, just like that, we now know is ridiculous from a food perspective, right? 100 calories of Coca-Cola is now obviously not the same as 100 calories of spinach. We know that. But what we also now need to know is that just moving your body is, it's the same kind of, it's just a calorie is a calorie. Exercise is exercise. And there's no more visible example of this. And this is going to be a little bit strange, and then I'll bring it back to real life. But if you get a chance, next time there are the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, or if you can just search on YouTube, just look up powerlifting. And because powerlifting is done in weight classes, and then what you'll see, especially, is like people that weigh 130 pounds, tiny people, men that weigh 130 pounds, very small men that are taking like 600 pounds and just throwing it around like it's nothing. And you'll think to yourself, how this person is so small and they're moving this huge amount of weight. How is that even possible? And that's powerlifting. And then you look at like bodybuilders, and they're these big muscular animals. They're in some ways it's the opposite. They're twice the size of this powerlifter, and they probably actually couldn't even do what that powerlifter is doing. Like if you ask them to snatch 600 pounds over their head, they might not be able to do it. So those people both exercise. They both spend their entire life in the gym. An Olympic powerlifter and a professional bodybuilder spend multiple hours a day, every day in a gym, but they get fundamentally different results because they have fundamentally different goals and they do fundamentally different things while they're exercising. So and it's not like one's better or one's worse. It's just they're so different. So like, is Zumba good? is a little bit like, I mean, it's sort of it's not even a complete question. It's like, is Zumba good for having a good time with your friends? Absolutely. Will Zumba make you a better power lifter? Not at all. Will Zumba make you lose? Is Zumba the most effective way to spend your time in the gym if your goal is to burn body fat? No, not at all. So the reason I make those sort of extreme examples of powerlifting versus bodybuilding is, in one case, the goal is to move as much weight as possible while staying as small as possible, because you compete in weight classes. So you want to be small and you want to move weight. Whereas bodybuilders don't really care how much weight they lift. They just want their bodies to be bigger. So those are the two ends of the spectrum. So you can hopefully see through that example that our goal with what we want to do with the time we spend exercising, that is extremely important. So just like a calorie isn't a calorie, exercise isn't exercise.
Yeah, you know, it's really clarifies a lot of things, because I have a lot of friends who are runners. I've got siblings who are runners. They love to get out and just run. They want to run. That's when they're with their friends. It's their social time. They enjoy it. They go for 10 miles on a Saturday morning. That would be torture to me. I have no desire to do that. But then there's other people, like I'm looking and I'm watching, and some people at the gym are bodybuilders who are there all the time. Some of the girls are there at the gym with makeup on first thing in the morning before they exercise. I am not. I am looking awful at the gym. I mean, everyone has different goals. I get that. And so I think, maybe it's just as a chance for me to clarify my goal. I think personally, my goal, because I'm a mother, I'm almost 40, I'm happily married, I'm kind of looking at what my exercise goal is. My goal is to be as fit as possible, spending as little time in the gym as possible, and spending as much time as I can with my family, with my loved ones, cooking healthy food. Like, I'll make that trade-off all day long. I'll chop vegetables all day with my family around me, helping kids with homework, being there with my husband, then going off and being in the gym for 2 hours a day. So I feel like I want to be healthy and I want to be fit, but I don't want to be in the gym any more than I have to be there.
And that's by way of analogy, I think that in the SANE model, or the eccentric exercise model, that is exactly what we're targeting. So people will say, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? Again, it depends on your goal. And our goal in this instance is, so by way of analogy, because that's the only way I can talk, is if you want to become better at accounting, the actual like professional field accounting, you would do accounting, because it's very goal specific. However, there are things you can do to just become more intelligent. Like reading great literature will make you sort of smarter. Taking a lot of the reason, like general education that we give, it's not because we expect you to need to be able to do calculus in the real world. It's because doing calculus actually forms different neural pathways in your brain, which are useful globally. So like that, we don't do bench press, which is a form of workout where it's like a push-up, because we expect that someday we're going to be walking down the street and someone's going to throw a barbell on our chest and we're going to need to lift it up. We do that simply because, just like we can make ourselves generally smarter, and the more generally intelligent we are, the more general life problems we can solve. If we're generally fitter and we're generally metabolically healthier and we're generally happy with the way we feel and look, life just becomes easier. So it's like having a global body intelligence, like you have a global mind intelligence. So does that distinction make sense?
Yes, I'm all for it.
So that then explains, with that goal, that's the goal. The goal is not to become a better marathon runner. It's not to have fun. Like, that's a different goal, right? If you want to have fun, you could play video games with your friends. You could go rollerblading with your friends. That's a different goal. But if the goal is this sort of general overarching metabolic fitness, there's two ways you can do that. There's two really effective forms of exercise. One is very low intensity, low impact activity. These are things like yoga, things like Pilates, things like, playing with your kids, going rollerblading, walking, bike riding, just being active. There's no question. There's been a huge amount of science done that shows that when you're just generally active without putting a bunch of negative stress on your body, with like not a bunch of impact on your joints, like jogging on
Right.
pavement puts a bunch of impact on your joints. That's generally making you healthier and better and fitter. That's good. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is for short periods of time, putting your body under very safe, very low impact, very intense stress. And that's not like stress. I mean, stress can be, there's eustress and de-stress, right? Eustress is positive stress, de-stress is bad stress. So just like, for example, if you need to get a really intense project done for life, and it's sort of, I got to get it done this week and I'm going to focus on it, like that makes you better and stronger and you feel proud of it. Whereas if you have these nagging stresses that go on for weeks and weeks and weeks, that burns you out. So human beings do good with short bouts of intense stress. Our body can actually super adapt and get stronger because of that. So when it comes to just global adaptation, being physically active and then having short, safe, very intense bursts of activity, that those two things give you that sweet spot of global metabolic conditioning and intelligence.
Okay, so how long does it take to see results from that? I guess that's a question. Is this one of those things, like when I started eating sanely, you know, it took several months for me to even notice a difference. When, let's say someone were today going to start doing eccentric exercises, really pushing themselves, make an effort to be more active, what are you looking at? Is it just something where you look at over the next year, how your body's going to change? You know, people kind of want to know, should I keep doing this? Is this something I should continue with?
From an eccentric exercise perspective, it's actually very, very easy to quantify progress because especially if you've never weight trained before, if you do, for instance, eccentric leg press, you'll start with, let's say, 100 pounds and you'll do 6 eccentric repetitions of that and then write that down. And then if you do as is recommended on a sane and eccentric lifestyle, which is to increase resistance the next time because your body will get stronger, what you're going to notice, especially if you're just getting started, like this is the coolest part of a sane and eccentric lifestyle, is the speed of progress when it comes to how much stronger your muscles get as you start exercising. Like as you start exercising eccentrically, like it's not uncommon for people to double the amount of resistance they use in a short period of time. And then if you want to see how that translates into real life, so you might say, okay, great. I was leg pressing I'm just using simple numbers for math. I was leg pressing 100 pounds. Now I'm leg pressing 200 pounds. Great. Next time someone throws a leg press machine in the middle of the street, I'll be able to leg press more. No, that's not the takeaway. But here's a great example. Let's say you weigh 200 pounds. Again, just simple math. And you're walking up a flight of stairs. And today, when you get to the top of the flight of stairs, if you're trying to carry on a conversation with another person, you get embarrassed because you're out of breath. And that is certainly not a fun thing to experience. Part of the reason you're out of breath is because, let's say right now you have legs, which could leg press 100 pounds. So every time you walk up a step, you are trying to lift a 200-pound body with one of your legs. And those legs are capable of leg pressing 100 pounds. Let's say it's a month later and you've been exercising eccentrically and you still have a 200-pound body, but now your legs are twice as strong. So you still weigh 200 pounds, but you're now lifting that 200 pounds with a leg which is twice as strong as it was before. So one would then imagine, just like if conceivably you could cut yourself in half, carrying 100 pounds up the stairs is going to be much easier than carrying 200 pounds up the stairs. You can't do that, nor would you want to do that. But what you can do is make the legs that are carrying you up the stairs twice as strong.
Okay. I like that. And I love this idea of progress. And okay, as you were talking, I just found something exciting. Can I share it with you?
Absolutely.
You were talking about writing things down. And I thought, oh, wait, I have been writing it down. So I have in Evernote, I have my eccentric exercise notes that I've been taking. And I haven't been doing it every single week, but I've been doing it often. And I just went back and looked. May is when I started. It's when I joined our gym. And I'm kind of laughing now because, okay, here's my numbers. For the leg press, I was at 70 pounds, okay? And like, I could go harder, 70 pounds. Now I'm at 215 for my legs. Like, that's a big deal. I'm kind of laughing now thinking, wait, 70 pounds is all I was doing? Now 215. And same thing, like the overhead shoulder one, I was at 30 pounds. Now I'm at 55, I think. So it's just kind of fun to look at these numbers and see, oh, this used to kill me, and now I am stronger. So I'm glad I wrote that down. I haven't even looked at that in months. So thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah. So in terms of results, I mean, those are the, just as a general life philosophy, right? Like we can, those are things we can control. We can control how hard we're working at the gym. We can control those sort of whether or not our muscles are getting stronger up to a point. At some point, you know, no human being will ever lift 5,000 pounds, right? Yeah. It's a diminishing marginal returns type of dynamic, but those are the kind of goals, like eating more non-starchy vegetables. I'm going to write that down and I'm going to gradually increase it over time. Yeah. I'm going to do leg press and I'm going to gradually increase it over time. And I'm going on record saying this, if you gradually increase the sanity of your eating over time consistently, and you gradually increase the amount of resistance you're using at the gym, you have to gradually get better results. Bottom line, just like if you gradually decrease, like if you were to say every week, I'm going to eat 100 fewer calories until I'm eventually starving myself completely, like eating 0 calories, you'll lose weight. Like it's just biology. It's not healthy. You shouldn't do it. But if you stop eating, you're going to lose weight. If you continuously increase the quality of your eating and you continuously increase the quality of your exercise, it's impossible not to increase the quality of your physical appearance and the quality of your health. It might not happen as fast as you want it to, and you might not reach the end state of a 20-year-old fitness model. Just like I could play basketball as hard as I can, and I'll never be as good as Michael Jordan. That doesn't mean I shouldn't play basketball. It doesn't mean I can't get better at basketball. It just means that I may have some genetic limitations that other people don't have.
Okay, so that's really helpful. Now I have to throw in just a plug for all the women out there who are getting older, and men too. Our metabolisms slow down, right? As we get older, our hormones are changing. I mean, I know probably the next 15, 20 years, I'm going to have even more changes, right? Because I'm still relatively young, but like I'm 37 right now. As you're becoming stronger, as you're eating more sanely, but then as your hormones are changing, is it like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back?
No, it's doesn't have to be 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. In fact, eventually, we'll die at some point. Like, you know, you're not going to live to your 200 years old.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
But we can slow it down. And here's just one way to think about it. And in fact, exercise is the only thing that's ever been shown in a clinical setting to reverse aging at a cellular level. So there's a way to measure sort of like how your genes are fraying at the ends on the telomeres, and you look at chromosomes and blah, 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 blah. There's some studies done on elderly adults where they'll do resistance training, and they will actually show that they have literally at a cellular level, they are younger cellularly. Wow. And one way to think about this is, I'm just going to speak transparently here, and let's just stick with me. Okay. So after we're born, on some level, we're gradually dying. Okay. Just maybe that's not completely true, but let's just go with it for a little bit. Okay. So
all right. I'm worried about that.
We're a little bit closer to death. It's a wonderful podcast.
Thanks. We're so optimistic here. No, it's okay.
Okay. Anyway, so and why is that? Because we know with the way biology works is if you're not, there's no steady state, right? You're either growing or you're dying. There is no stopping, right? A flower is either growing or it's dying. A human being is either building new tissue or tissue is going away. There is no, your body is just stagnant. That's the difference between biological organisms and mechanical things. Mechanical things can just stay the way they are. Biology doesn't. So actually, you know, after puberty, it's not true that after we're born, after puberty, after we're done with the natural growth cycle of a human being, only at that point are we sort of on the gradual decline, unless we intervene. We talk about muscle protein synthesis. We talk about building calorie-hungry lean tissue. These are the interventions. This is instead of, you can absolutely have a man or a woman who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s when their growth hormones, I mean, there's a hormone that's literally called growth hormone, is radically higher than it would be otherwise, because they're eating more protein, because they're eating more healthy foods, and because they're doing more resistance training, because they are triggering growth and maintenance in their body, where if they didn't do those things, that, again, there's no steady state. You're either growing or you're decaying. And by doing the eccentric training and by doing the sane eating, you can keep the growth and development going for as long and as healthfully as possible.
That's exciting. And I think that that's, again, we talk about this on a physical level, but this applies mentally, emotionally, in so many ways as well. I think that sometimes there's this idea that as you get older, you just are going to become better. You know, you're just going to automatically become better because you're older. But it takes this effort. And I like the idea that even, I don't know if I'll ever be in a nursing home. I hope I could stay in my own home forever. But no matter where I am, I can be doing something to help continue to grow, whether it's, you know, my mind and my spirit and my body, all of that together. That's exciting.
Absolutely. And that's really the key when we talk about the sort of different goals around exercise. Like, you can start to see, like, this is really different than the goal of I want to have abs, because the goal of I want to have abs is no better or worse than the goal of I want to run a marathon, or the goal of I want to bench press 300 pounds, or the goal of I want to dunk a basketball. But it's a very distinct goal. And there's a lot of things you could do to help you get abs that will not help you to avoid being in a nursing home when you're older. In fact, it will actually make it more likely that you'll be in a nursing home when you're older, right? So when we talk about why are we exercising, the goal, the why is so important, like you said, not only for exercise, but for life. And so why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we exercising in the way we're exercising? The fundamental principles, we talk about the principles of sane eating, satiety, aggression, nutrition, efficiency. The fundamental principles of the exercise guidelines, the eccentric or smarter exercise guidelines, is we want to maximize positive, safe stress on your physical body that causes growth, while minimizing negative stress or the risk of injury. Okay. So just like we say with eating, we want to sort of maximize essential nutrients and minimize things that are addictive and toxic. By for example, you could sprint up stadium steps as a form of intense exercise. But if you were sprinting up concrete steps, I mean, it's not debatable that that is riskier than being on a stationary bike where you're pedaling as hard as you can with a lot of resistance, so you're not moving quickly for 30 seconds and then stopping. You can't fall and bust your head open on concrete steps, you know, if you're in a more controlled environment. It doesn't mean that it's bad and no one should ever do stadium stair training. It just means that when you look at what our goals are, you get a different exercise prescription out the other end.
And I think one of the things that's most helpful to me is to identify my goal and then own my goal. Because my problem is that I set a goal and I say, okay, this is what I want. I don't want to be in a gym a lot. I really just want to be healthy. I want to be with my family. I don't care if I have ripped arms, you know, all that stuff. I feel like, okay, this is what I want. But then I look around me and see, oh, but all these people are running marathons, or oh, but actually look at all those muscles. Or, you know, I look around and see people with different goals who, you know, are just doing different things. And then inside my mind, I just feel like, oh, wait, maybe I have the wrong goal. Maybe that my goal isn't good enough, or something like that, which is silly. So I think that as we've talked today, and as you've helped me to clarify that the exercises I do need to be consistent with my goals, helping me to realize I can just decide what I want to do and do it. I don't have to worry what anyone else thinks.
That's an extremely important distinction, April, because that's, I think we covered this in a previous show, and it's worth reiterating, which is that we can't be a 10 out of 10 at everything. Mm-hmm. There are things we can be a 10 out of 10 at, but we know we have to pick those, right? People who are going to be Olympic athletes are probably not simultaneously going to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company while simultaneously being an awesome parent. Yeah. It just doesn't happen.
It's not that many hours in the day. Yeah.
So I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, you've mentioned in a previous episode, you're like, well, what if I see some of my friends who spend a lot of time exercising and who do count calories, and they're slimmer and more toned than I am. Yeah. And my response was kind of, well, if you right now are spending no time worrying about what you're eating, it's just sort of organic and natural and cool, and you're at the gym for 2 hours per week. If you're willing to triple the amount of effort you're putting into your sanity, we can certainly get different results, but that's the balance we've got to find. And I think, you're doing a great job. And I think hopefully most people that are listening or watching this are looking to say, we'd rather, like you said, go found a school in a third world country for underprivileged people than to be able to see our abs. That's just for us.
You just have to make your own decision. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think it's really, really helpful. And to know that I could do that if I wanted to, but one of my husband's favorite phrases is, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And I love that, because for each of us, we all have our unique mission. We all have something that's special about us that we can do. But, at the same time, I think that we want to make sure that we are progressing enough that in our minds, we can say, okay, I'm taking really good care of myself. Like, if I know when I'm at the gym, I'm giving it my all for that time I've allotted to be there. And when I know if I'm home and I'm eating and making food choices, I'm making the best choices that I can with the resources and the time and energy that I have, then I can go to sleep at night feeling great. It's just when there's that discrepancy between what you know that you could be doing, or you really don't like your results, but you want to do better, and you're kind of going vacillating like that. That's really stressful to live in your head when you're feeling that way. So I feel like this is where I feel like I'm in therapy. Thanks, Jonathan.
And I think the key to sort of next action, this isn't next action, this is a key takeaway from, at the end of the day, what the sane and eccentric lifestyle provides is just an alternate path. So to be clear, there's two paths. You can eat less and exercise more, and that's the conventional path, or you can eat more and exercise less, but do that smarter. And the thing that is not different between those two things is that the amount of effort you put into them is directly proportionate to the amount of results you get, right? Like, if you eat 200 calories per day, you will lose weight faster than if you eat 1,200 calories per day. And if you eat optimal sanity and you exercise eccentrically consistently at a level 8 or 9, and you're consistently increasing your weights, you're going to get better results than if you're sort of casually sane. And it's just, now you have an option. You can pick which path you want to take, and then you can pick how much effort you want to put into that path. And you can know that on both paths, it's diminishing marginal returns, right? So I don't care whether you're counting calories or whether you're increasing sanity, the better you're doing. I mean, April, I think you sell yourself short sometimes, and I think all of us sell ourselves short, which is like, if you're 200 pounds overweight, you can lose 100 pounds quick. But if you're, just slightly over, I mean, I don't even think you're overweight. I haven't seen you recently, but I think you're quite fit. So at this point, we're talking about going from being like significantly, but way better than average, to being like super fit. And that's not easy in any sphere. It's diminishing marginal returns. Mm-hmm. So, giving ourselves permission to celebrate where we're at, and to understand that the better we're doing, if we want to do better, it's like progressively harder and harder, the better you're doing, to do even better. It's not linear.
Thank you. This is really helpful. No, I feel like if I could give you a standing ovation right now, well, actually I can. There you go, Jonathan. There was your standing ovation. I think that this is the information that needs to be out there. This is what needs to be shared with our sons and daughters. This is what we need to be talking about in the media. This is what needs to be emphasized, because everything that's being talked about right now is about how to eat less, how to exercise more, how to be hungry, how to always compare yourself, how to always feel like you're not enough. That is not healthy mentally or physically for anyone. But what you're teaching, and what I love about SANE, is that the more I can remind myself of the things that I already know, and the more I can put my effort towards things that I know are going to help my body be stronger and happier overall, I mean, it changes my life. So, I mean, I tell you this all the time, you've changed our family. I mean, it's unbelievable. Leah and I were just talking the other day, and she and I have been saying about 1.5 years, and we were just talking about how much it means to us. Like, this means a lot. And that's why I'm here podcasting with you. And that's why I'm so excited to help share this, because I feel such relief. Like, when I hear your message, I feel like I can breathe again. And I want everyone to be able to breathe. So thanks,
well, thank
John.
you. Hey, well, that means the world to me. I really appreciate it. And I want to make sure that our listeners and viewers feel that same sense, because it's extremely powerful and it's transformative, as you said. And I appreciate your example for all of our listeners and viewers. And to help with that, I want to give the next action, which is to, I think, do two things that we've talked about here, but just to memorialize it, is write down your goals. And there's not 100 of them. There's like 5, so a short list of goals. And then I want you to write down where you're at with them. There's got to be some way to quantify. And maybe one of your goals is, just eccentric training. And like April's done, I'm leg pressing 75 pounds. And then you're going to do better. And then you're going to compare only to that, not to anyone else, not to what anyone else is saying, but you're going to write down your goals, not someone else's goals. You're going to write down your current status. And then you're going to take small steps to compare your goals and your progress with your previous self and nobody else. And that's the next step, and the stretch goal, because that's very hard to do.
Love it. Thank you, Jonathan. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. Thrilled that you're with us. Please share this. Get this message out there. Help other people so that they can breathe as well. And remember to stay sane.